Hey everybody, I'm gonna make sure the mic works, which it seems like it does. Awesome. Probably got about 5, 6 minutes. People are still coming in. If anybody needs to use a bathroom or anything, we've got a set kind of down the stairs right in the back, or there's like single stalls right around the corner on your left. Otherwise, just sit tight. I'm sorry I don't have any like music. It's kind of weird silent in here, but feel free to talk amongst yourselves, meet a neighbor, all that fun stuff, and we'll get going about 5, 6 minutes here. All right, hey everybody. Good to see you. We got a good crowd here. I know we've got some people that are still going to be kind of trickle in here, I'd imagine, over the next 5 minutes, but out of the sake of everybody's time, I'd like to go ahead and get started. First of all, if you don't already know me, I am Brandon LaRosa, the Little League president, the person who sends you all the emails and does all that fun stuff. So if you haven't seen me before, now you can put a face to the name. Usually when we do this meeting, it is 10 degrees and snowing, and nobody's really thinking about baseball or softball yet. So today was a pleasant surprise, and it sounds like this week is a pleasant surprise, because it feels like spring season, like we're ready to play some ball. So it's got me excited. I'm pumped for this. I'm happy to see all you people here and get you hopefully some important information to kind of set the tone and expectations for the season. So with that being said, before I sit up here and, for lack of a better word, sitting up here and preach, I wanted to give everybody just a little background on me. So I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. This is me playing t-ball. Apparently, they had t-ball champions back here. I do not remember getting this trophy or anything about that. I do remember wearing those rec specs. My best t-ball memory is we had a kid who played the outfield all the time. And one day, he brought his Game Boy and kept it in his back pocket. And it took the coaches half the game to realize every time we were in the field, he was playing his Game Boy in the outfield. So I remember that way more than I remember winning this trophy and championship. So take that for what you will. After kind of my Little League phase, about 9 years old, I started playing for a travel team. We were called the Jacksonville Sharks. Travel ball back in the late 90s when I played is a little different than what it is now. We would play about 120 games a year. Put that in perspective, the most we do in Little League is like 15. So I grew up on a baseball field. This is a fun picture we took. This is our 10-year-old team. We had just won the AAU National Championship coming back from Kansas City, Missouri. So the news was all there to take pictures of all that. So that was fun. We did played a lot of ball, won a lot of games and all that stuff. But again, pretty much grew up playing ball. After kind of the 12-year-old phase is done and then you move to that big 60-90 field, I played on a team called the Tampa Hitmen. And honestly, and I'll kind of refer back to this a couple times tonight, playing all that ball from 9 to 12, you know, you hear about burnout. I was not ever the MVP of the team. I was always the catcher, always batted eighth. I think I bunted more than I actually got to swing the bat. So I was kind of almost done with baseball. And it was actually getting a part of this team, being under a coach that made the game fun again, that kind of re-inspired me to keep after it. So I played on this team, the Tampa Hitmen, from 14 to 18 years old. Also in high school, I went to a school called Episcopal. This is our senior year. We actually ended up winning the state championship, the first and still only state championship for the school. The really cool part about that is those four guys you kind of see with me. I'm the one on the, I guess your left side there. Hopefully you can figure out which one I am, right? Those guys were all players on that Sharks team. And then a couple of them also on that Hitman team. So we had a kind of a core group of kids that we grew up playing ball since we were 8, part of high school. So after high school, I went to Bucknell University, which is a small Division I college in Pennsylvania. Was a catcher there, and I went there for chemical engineering and was just fortunate enough to get to play some ball. My sophomore year, we won our conference championship. Much like how college basketball works, if you win your conference, you go to the tournament with 64 teams and all that fun stuff. We ended up drawing FSU. This is one of my favorite pictures because in the background there is Mike Martin. For anybody who doesn't know, the FSU coached, I think over 40 years there. Actually just recently passed away, really sad. But this is a picture that I've got blown up in my garage right now because I got him in the background with me catching, which is pretty cool. I got to also spend my freshman and sophomore year of college summers playing in what was called the Hawaiian Collegiate League. This is where they take about 150 18 to 21-year-olds, put them in an apartment on Waikiki Beach, say, you're going to play a game at 10 a.m., and then you've got the rest of the day to yourself. So those were two really fun summers. This was the crew I hung out with pretty much every day. we got to play ball, but it was also about kind of hanging out and having a good time in Hawaii, which was pretty fun. My next summer was kind of the opposite of that. I played in the Cape Cod League. If you don't know what the Cape Cod League is, it is kind of the premier summer baseball league for prospects in college. I played for the Bourne Braves. We brought Bourne their first ever championship for the Cape Cod League. And to give you an idea of what the prospect thing is, if you look at the team picture we have up there, every single one of those guys got drafted. So, and that went for just about every other team we played against as well. So it gives you an idea, you're playing with guys that are all expecting to play some professional ball. Really high quality baseball, not as much of hanging out on the beach of Waikiki. So my senior year, we won our conference championship again. And it was actually during the fall of that year that the coach of that Tampa Hitmen, the one that kind of revitalized baseball for me, his name was Ken Witkoff, he passed away from lung cancer. So I actually brought his jersey with me to every game, and then in our finale of our championship game, I wore it under my jersey so that when we won, I could rip it off and wear his jersey for our celebration. So that was just kind of my way of honoring him, because I wouldn't be there without him, right? A guy that coached me at 14 years old, similar to what we got going on here. Then about 3 weeks later after that game, I had no idea this was coming, but I got a call and I got drafted by the Los Angeles Dodgers. So I didn't even have to unpack my bags. I was on a plane a week later and flying out to Arizona to go to spring training and do all that kind of fun stuff. We threw together a quick party, and actually all the guys you see in that picture there are all guys from that Sharks team back when I was 8 years old. Came, hung out, and congratulated me for that accomplishment. Got to play a couple years in the minors. I'm not going to go into too many details about all that. If you see me at the fields and want to ask me questions, I'm happy to sit there and talk. Great experience. I didn't play much. I was not a prospect. Again, I went to school for engineering, not to play baseball, but I was fortunate enough to have that experience. What I did get out of that was in California is where I met my wife, who actually grew up in this church and grew up in a house that's about half a mile that way. So here we are, full circle. We have 3 kids. I've got Ava, who is going to be in minor softball. She is 9. My son Cole is 8. He is in single A baseball. And then my youngest, Jovi, she will be in coach pitch softball. Moved here 10 years ago, and this is my 7th year with Little League, 6th year as president. Little League is not what I do full-time. My full-time job is I'm an engineer over at Zealand Farm Services. But I love this stuff, obviously. This is what I'm all about. So wanted to just kind of give you that context before I kind of got on the Little League stuff. So this is where I'm going to kind of get on a soapbox for a bit and kind of talk about what are we doing here? What's the point of even playing Little League? A quote I heard actually a little while ago was, youth sports are not a zero-sum game. If you look at professional sports, right, you go see an MLB team, wins equals losses for other teams, right? Everybody balances out. The teams that win more than they lose, they get more money. The players get more money when they have those results, right? Coaches get extensions, get more money. The teams that lose more, they get, similar to me, they get cut. Coaches get fired. All that kind of stuff, right? That's not Little League. I'm curious how many people here, you've got your kids here, how many of us would love if our kid played not even just baseball, softball, any high school sport, right? That'd be great. I would love that, right? College, got a scholarship, right? Awesome. I would love that for my kids if they were got a college scholarship, free education. Play pro ball. Go play and make millions of dollars. Man, that'd be great. And I'm not going to sit here and throw the statistics at you of the chances of that, but I do want to make it clear that, I mean, I did college recruiting. I was a college coach for a couple years. I never went and asked a kid or their parents, hey, what was your Little League record? You know, did you guys win that championship over at Jim Cott Field? Or did you win that championship over at Huizenga Park? That stuff doesn't matter. Okay, what matters for these kids is, do they get a heart for the game? Do they love it? Do they want to come out there? I ask kids, what's that kid's work ethic, right? I see the skill, they're athletic, they're great. Does he want to come to practice? Does she like to work? Does she work hard? Is she a good teammate? What do they do? And this is really applicable to Little League. what does that kid do when the umpire makes a bad call? Because I guarantee you, any of you here today, that kid plays with one of our umpires, they're going to have a bad call called against them. Guarantee you. What's their reaction? Do they pout about it, blame the umpire, throw a fit? Or do they say, hey, you know what, I'll get the next one? Those are the kind of things that we want to establish with our kids, because that's the kind of stuff, when they have the heart for it and the right attitude, that's the only way they have a chance to play the next level, the next level, the next level. Everybody's got to be athletic enough. That stuff will come 13, 14, 15 years old. What we're trying to do right now is establish what's the process. Do they love the game? Is it fun? Do they want to be there? Okay, that's what's important, and that's what we're all about. So I hope you also take that for any youth sport you want to go do. If you decide Little League's not for you and you want to go play travel ball, any of that kind of stuff, that's great. Do what you think is best, but please have that perspective in mind, because that is so important. All right, so some stats to bring to you. We have 1,020 kids playing in Little League this year. So you can imagine there's a lot of people that I'm talking to. That means there's 95 teams plus our rookie ball program. We're going to have over 200 coaches and over 60 umpires. So there is a lot going on here. That is a new record for us with players, and I just looked this morning, we got another about 15 on the wait list that I'm trying to figure out spots for and all that stuff, and I imagine that'll continue to happen as people don't realize we stop our registration in February and they're still looking for places to play. So our structure for Little League is we are part of Little League International. We have to pay Little League International a charter. Little League is set up to where they put about 5 or 6 states into different regions. I think there's like 6 or 7 regions. And then each state is broken up into districts. So there are 16 districts in Michigan. There's not going to be a test after. 16 districts in Michigan. We are part of District 9, which is what we call West Michigan. Teams like Hudsonville, Holland, a bunch of Grand Rapids Little Leagues, all that kind of stuff. So they're all in our district. What makes our Little League very unique is that we are part of Zeeland Recreation. Right? That's where you had to go to enroll your kid and all that. So we partner together and have a lot of kind of a foundational set with assets, equipment, fields, all that kind of stuff that we can utilize because we're under Zeeland Rec and not just a parent-based bunch of volunteers out there trying to just figure it out with their own fields and that kind of stuff. So we use all the fields from Zeeland Public Schools. We partner with Holland Charter Township to use Cott Park. We partner with the city of Drenth to use Drenth Grove Park. And we partner with the city of Zeeland to have exclusive field rights to Huizinga Park for softball. So all those things really benefit us to have all this stuff at our disposal. The other thing you'll hear me kind of ask a lot over the next couple weeks is age. I will talk about a kid's age, and whenever I talk about your kid's age, please know I am talking about Little League age. And that is different for both boys and girls. So there are age charts to help with that, but I'll give you an example. My daughter, who I mentioned before, my oldest, she is 9, but she turns 10 in a few days. So even though she will be 10 all season, she is considered a 9-year-old. I will always think of her as a 9-year-old for the season when it comes to things like All-Stars and stuff like that, which we'll get into in a minute. So when I start talking about ages or I send anything else out that's about like, this is for these ages, please know I'm referring to Little League age, okay? So we also take that Little League age, and that's kind of our basis for how we set up our divisions. So I kind of wanted to show everybody the full picture of all the divisions we have in Little League and your structure, whether you're a parent here with a kid in rookie ball or you're already at the majors level and everything in between, right? So as your kid gets older, they're gonna more or less climb this ladder. You may skip a level, that's fine. You may repeat a level, that's fine. The ages are more of a guideline, but if you've got a 7-year-old and you're like, hey, this kid is ready to see some player pitch, I have no problem moving them up a level that 7-year-olds don't normally play. And vice versa, if you have a 10, 11-year-old that's like, they've never played before, I would like to move them down, we can make that happen, right? We kind of use this as our structure, but we are very flexible on putting kids with what fits them best. Our divisions are based on skill, not age, but we use age as a guideline, okay? So our rookie ball, right, our youngest group, they're broken into one 1 hour session per week. That goes for 4 weeks. They do not play traditional games, but the players go through drills and little mini games, and we really keep it fun, right? The idea is I don't want a kid's first experience with baseball or softball being, man, I just stood in the outfield for an hour. This was terrible. When all of a sudden then they go into soccer and they're like, I got to run around for an hour. This is great. We keep the kids moving. They're having fun. They're doing different things, playing games. The whole idea is after that 4 weeks, we want them excited about baseball so they want to come back and play t-ball the next year. That's what that kind of is there for. All right, jumping into softball. This is our softball breakdown for this year. I've got 6 t-ball teams. They will play at New Groningen. We've got 8 coach pitch teams that will play at Drenth, 5 minors, and then 4 majors, which all play at Huizinga. You can see there, if you know what level your kid's at, you can see about how many practices and games they're expected to play, as well as how many postseason games they would have. We don't have postseasons for t-ball and coach pitch, but do for minors and majors. Our minors and majors team names are all based on current or former professional softball team names. There's been a multitude of different kind of leagues that have come and gone over the years. We kind of took the ones that kind of have the best names and logos, and that's what we name our teams after. So if you're on the Vipers, or one of my favorite, why are we called the Scrapyard Dogs? Because that's what a pro softball team was named, and we really liked it, so that's what we're going to name our teams after. For baseball, same idea, except we just have a more robust minors and coach pitch breakdown here. 10 t-ball teams, all of your stuff will be at Woodbridge. Our coach pitch level, 14 teams, we will be at Lincoln and Lawrence, and then we will actually have a new field this year that we've never used before. If you've ever been at the corner of Main and Fairview, where the bus garage is right there, there's that little diamond that sits in that corner, and we had lost a field at Woodbridge this year, so I asked if we could start using that field, and I got that going. So we will use that field for coach pitch. Our new league this year, which a lot of people have signed up for, our advanced coach pitch. 12 teams, they will be at Adams and Quincy. Single A will be at Roosevelt, we got 8 teams, and then our double A, triple A, and majors will continue to be at Cott, 7, 8, and 8 teams there. And then our middle school league, we have 5 teams. They will be at Zeeland Christian and Legends. Again, you can see what their practice and game and postseason game breakdown is. So that's stuff that you have an idea of what to expect. You can see that as you get older, there's more stuff to do each year. We kind of add on a practice or a game. Most of our teams, after you get past coach pitch, we start naming our teams after MLB teams. So you'll see names like Dodgers, Braves, those kind of things. So that's what we name all those teams after, just for an idea there. Equipment-wise, a lot of questions about equipment. So what we provide on the baseball side, every kid will get a hat and a jersey. If you're an MLB team, you will get an MLB hat. If you're not an MLB team, you'll get one of our Z hats. We actually are getting new Z hats this year, which are really sweet. Those ones we've gotten the last couple of years are kind of throwaway and all kind of weird colors. We're kind of getting a little higher quality this year. Each team will get a set of catcher's gear, a catcher's glove, and batting helmets. If you're in T-ball where we don't have catchers, you're not going to have the catcher's gear, that's fine. So if your kid wants to catch and they don't have their own gear, that's fine. Coaches will have gear for them. We provide everybody with practice and game balls, and we also provide teams with bats to share, which are USA certified. All bats have to have the USA sticker on them. On the softball side, same thing, we get everybody a jersey. What we do for minors and majors is we give them socks. The reason why we don't give them hats is because they have to wear fielder's masks in the field, and most of the girls at that level stop wearing hats or visors. So we've always been told socks are a much better option than hats because the girls aren't going to wear the hats. For our coach pitch and T-ball girls, we will still get them hats since they're not wearing fielder's masks. Same thing, we're providing catcher's gear, catcher's glove, and helmets, practice and game balls, the appropriate bats, and we also do provide those fielder's masks that I was talking about for softball. We have plenty for teams to share. That was a donation we got last year. If your daughter wants their own, by all means, go get her own. I think last year I saw kind of at the beginning of the year, most of the girls were kind of using the team one. By the end of the year, I feel like every girl ended up going out and getting her own. So that's the way that kind of goes. So what most of the parents want to know is, okay, that's great. I know what my team gets, so what do I need to get? Well, first of all, pants. This is not a requirement, but I usually always get asked, what color pants should I get? Softball, we highly recommend black. Baseball, highly recommend gray. But any color works, not a requirement. I highly suggest getting a belt. Socks for the baseball kids. Obviously, the teams that we provide socks for won't need them. Want to get your own glove. If you're struggling to get a glove, please let me know. I've kind of got quite a pile of lost and found that I'm happy to donate. Rubber cleats. The only teams that are allowed to wear metal cleats are middle school baseball. So if you're looking for cleats, please make sure they are rubber bottom. Probably want to get a bag maybe to put their stuff in. Doesn't have to be one of the fancy ball bags. Even just a backpack is fine. For our boys that want to be catchers, we require that they wear a cup. So that's always a fun new adventure for kids looking to catch the first time, but it might be something we got to start having that conversation. But I have seen the other side. I have seen the kid who doesn't wear the cup and has the accident, and it's not good. Something to drink. We do not have a lot of like water available at fields, especially if you're at one of the ZPS fields. There is not like a water fountain out there. Bathroom-wise, it's just a porta potty. So I highly suggest making sure that your kid brings a water to every game and practice. Even last year at Heisinger, for those that were involved with that last year, I think we went through 90% of the season with the bathrooms and the water fountains not working because they just had water issues all year. So please don't rely on the water fountains to be working. And then anything else you want for your child, right? If they want their own bat, their own helmet, their own fielder's mask, their own catcher's gear, get whatever you want to get. If you got questions about what's allowed, let me know. But if you can buy it at Dick's Sporting Goods, it's usually okay for us. The only thing to keep in mind is that bat. That bat has to be USA bat. And speaking about Dick's Sporting Goods, the plug for them, I put in that email I sent the other day. This weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 20% off your order. You have to be in store for that. I sent out that coupon. I will also send the coupon again Friday because everybody starts emailing me Friday when they're there saying I lost your email. It's in store only. Again, if they don't have what you want in store, you can order it like through their little kiosk if you haven't done that before. So you order it online, they'll deliver it to you or deliver it to the store and you'll still get that 20% off. So if you're looking for any of that stuff, that's the time to do it. The only disadvantage of doing this early is I do not know what team your kids are on. So I do not know what color socks to get. So if you want to save the things that need color coordination till a little later, that's what you'll have to do. All right, I want to take a minute to talk about our coaches. So we have come a long way with getting coaches for Little League. Back when I first started, it was like we were lucky if we got one coach per team. Now we're at the point where we're having two. A lot of leagues have 3 coaches per team. I've got a few teams with 4, which is great. More coaches we get, the better practices are, the less standing around the kids do. That's awesome. But some teams may still ask parents to help. And that's okay. We are okay with parents helping at a practice as long as one of our coaches that has gone through all our stuff is there. What I cannot have happen is, let's say your team has 2 coaches and they're both like, hey, we're gone for spring break, but Johnny's dad said he'll run practice. That is not okay. I don't know Johnny's dad. Johnny's dad hasn't gone through my background check. He has not gone through my training. So I'm not really comfortable with Johnny's dad out there leading these kids. So let's not do that. I talk to our coaches about this kind of stuff too. So if you're a parent that's like, hey, I may want to do that, just sign up to coach. That way I can bring you through all the stuff and I'm comfortable knowing you're on the same page as me and we're good to go, okay? The other note I have on there, I do want to stress this. If you are not one of my signed up coaches, you are not supposed to be on the field during a game and not supposed to be in the dugout during a game. Okay, the number one issue I get when it comes to umpires telling me about a coach giving them a hard time or coaches getting into it, I hear the name of who was involved and I'm like, who is that? They're not one of my coaches, and it was a parent helper that, hey, I'll help, great intentions, but stepped over the line, right? So please, if you want to get involved, I'd love to get involved. Let's just do it the right way. So our coaches, their main goal, like I was kind of saying before, is they're going to make kids love the game. What they are not going to do is turn your kid into the next superstar. Okay, we want them to get them better. But keep in mind what that means. Okay, they're not going to be out there blasting home runs all the time. There is no coach, including myself, I'm doing a lot of coaching this year, that is going to have the magic trick to turn your kid into some kind of stud. Okay, it's not going to happen. There are things we're going to work on to try to get them better. Absolutely. They are going to develop. You are going to see a significant difference between what that team looks like at the beginning of the year and the end of the year. But if you're someone who wants their kid to develop more, maybe they want to pitch and they're not getting a lot of pitching opportunities because they don't throw a lot of strikes. That's something to work on at home. We've got a lot of material out there of ways for kids to get better. What you get out of Little League for the 2 or 3 times a week that you're together is not going to be that huge difference of them getting that extra development. So if you're looking for that extra, it's something to work on at home, okay? All right, so now next thing kind of coming up here for our older kids is team formation practice. Again, if your kid is in rookie ball, T-ball, or coach pitch, this is not for you, but it's coming, so you can go ahead and learn a little bit about what it's all about. It's not a tryout. I still have people that call it a tryout, and I always laugh. This is not a tryout. We are not cutting anybody. Everybody's going to be on a team. What we do is we take the kids through a little practice. They do some drills, throwing, fielding, hitting, all that kind of stuff. We evaluate that skill, and then that helps us put teams together. Our goal is to make sure every team is evenly matched. When I go out there and I see a game that's 25-0, that does nothing for anybody, right? The team that won and the team that lost. You got nothing out of that hour and a half you just spent in that blowout. I want every game to be 8-7. That's my goal. I want games to be close, right? What makes the game fun for a lot of kids is when you go out there and you know you have a chance to win. You guys have probably seen it. If you put your kid into something, they know they're going to fail. Their attitude is not the best. So we want to make sure all our teams are as evenly matched as possible. We have not achieved that. We have definitely fallen short in areas at times, but that's our goal, and that's what we're going to keep working towards. So for those coming, again, it's at Sports Quest. Really great facility. Please do not wear cleats. We prefer you not to bring food in. You can have food kind of in the lobby area, but food is definitely not allowed on the field or in the batting cages. Same thing with drinks. There is a water fountain in there. Kids can bring their drinks, just not into the cages or onto the field. Wear your baseball or softball attire. I get a lot of, what should I wear? You know, I suggest not wearing shorts. Wear what you would wear to a normal practice or game. I will be. I won't be wearing this. I'll be wearing baseball stuff. Bring all your gear. I always get asked, should they bring their helmet? Should they bring their bat? Bring everything you got. No telling what you might need to use. Bring everything. We do provide gloves, bats, and helmets for kids that need some. So don't feel like you have to go have that stuff on your own. Like I just talked about the equipment. We provide that stuff for you. Parents, you may stick around and watch. I actually suggest you stick around and watch because you're going to be seeing your kid mixing it up with kids that they'll be playing with and against all season. Just please do not go into the bat cages, and please also understand that parking is limited. So if you've done this before, you may know that their parking lot is not really meant for these 90 kids that come at each of my little sessions here. It might get a little packed in there. We do try to space it out to help with that. This is what the schedule looks like this year. This is the same thing I emailed out about all the different divisions and what kids are coming to where, but you can kind of see the full picture of there is some overlap there of kind of when a practice ends and when another team's checking in. We leave that 30 minutes of check-in time because we want to start that practice right on time, if not earlier. So if we can get everybody checked in early, that's great. We can get started and get those kids some reps. And the more they're there with myself and the board and the people that we have involved with this, the more teaching and help we can do. Last thing I'll mention is we need help for this. I do not need somebody to go out there and hit the fungo or throw BP or that kind of stuff. What I need is when I have 98-year-olds come to this thing, you talk about herding cats, these boys come in and they are wild. So I'm looking for parent helpers just to kind of like keep the kids in a line and not run around like maniacs or hit each other or throw balls at each other. Looking for parents to make sure when the kids are in the cages, they're not having lightsaber fights and like kids, bats on the ground, right? That kind of stuff. That's the help I'm looking for. So I will send out the Sign Up Genius again for anybody that if you're planning on being there, great, stick around and help. I'm usually asking for helpers too. I usually get enough high school players to be there to kind of do the more baseball, softball, drill-oriented stuff. So that's the kind of help I need. All right, so after we do team formation practices, we start putting the teams together. I'm going to skip to the bottom here because this is the question I'm going to get all March. When am I going to know what team my kid is on? You will know by March 25. If you email me before that, my response is going to be, I've already got it templated, I just hit copy paste. You will know your team by March 25. The other confusing part that will happen is we put teams together in different orders. So there's a chance that Majors Baseball knows their team on March 11, and T-Ball doesn't know yet until March 23. Because we do them in order and we let those people know as soon as they're on the team, they get an automatic email that says, hey, you're on the Dodgers. So please be patient. You may, if you got kids playing 2 or 3 different divisions, you may hear about 1 or 2 before you hear about the third. Okay, just please be patient with that. The way we put those teams together, Coach Pitch and T-Ball, is all done by myself and our Little League board. We use our parent rating, stuff like that, and we also try to keep kids from similar schools together, and you can also sign up with friends. Our A baseball and then minors and majors softball, we use team formation practice as well as coaches' input, but we still put those teams together, myself and the board. We used to draft at all these levels, and I've learned that that hasn't worked out as well, letting coaches pick players because the teams get uneven. And I watch coaches pick kids, and I'm like sitting behind my computer, what are you doing? Why would you pick that kid? And I get it. They might be a friend, and you want to make sure they're on the team, and that's great. But then I have one team that has literally nobody that knows how to pitch, and then I've got another team that's got 4 girls that can all rifle it in there, and everybody's wondering why that team is run ruling everybody all year. It's like, well, so I've decided to kind of take that power away. Sorry. I tell the coaches, if you've got someone, a niece, nephew, that kind of thing that you want on your team, we can usually make those things happen. But I want to make sure that these teams are spread out appropriately with the right skill, especially with pitching, so that those teams are even. We're still doing drafts in our AA, AAA, and majors baseball. I have not taken that away from our coaches yet. They do a pretty good job with it. A lot of those coaches have done this before, but that's something we continue to keep an eye on, and if that's going well and if these teams are actually even. And then our middle school league this year, we are keeping kids at the common schools together. We were unsure about that based on our sign-up, but we are doing that, and those teams are put together by a combination of the coaches from those schools and myself. All right, so once you know what team you're on, you're going to start practicing. Usually teams, about half of your total practices will be before you have your first game. So you'll have either 1 or 2 a week for about 3 or 4 weeks-ish. Minors, majors, and middle school. Minors includes A, AA, and AAA baseball. You guys will start March 25 that week, not necessarily on March 25. Coach pitch and T-ball, that includes advanced coach pitch. Your first practices will start the week of April 8th, so right when we come back from spring break. Coaches are allowed to add additional practices, especially if something gets rained out, that kind of stuff, if they feel like they need to do a makeup. So a coach may add practices to your schedule over the year. I say practices are optional in the sense of if you can't make them, it's okay. Like, of course we want the kids to be at the practices, but it's not like hey, your kid missed practice, so now they're going to sit the bench. That's not what we do. Okay, just communicate with your coach. If you've got something going on, you can't make a practice, so be it. But of course, for the kids that are at all the practices, are usually the ones that do the most excelling and developing through the season. So then we get into our games. When games start, we still trickle practices in through the season. So you'll have anywhere from about 1 to 3 events, either a game or a practice, per week. That's kind of what to expect. Middle school games start April 15. Majors baseball and softball will start Saturday, April 20. Minors, which includes A, AA, and AAA, will start April 22. And then T-ball and coach pitch and advanced coach pitch all start April 27th. All right, so when we talk about games, something we talked about a lot as a board this year is what exactly is the expectation with equal playing time, right? It's said a lot, but boy, are there some interpretations on what equal playing time means. So we wanted to iron that out a little bit so that everybody's on an equal playing field with that. So step one, and this has always been a thing for Little League, every player that's there at that game is going to be in the lineup. If you got 12 kids at the game, you're going to have 1 through 12 in the order. The lineup is going to be different each game. I don't expect the same kid to hit leadoff every game, the same kid to hit third and fourth every game. We're telling coaches they need to mix that up, okay? In coach pitch and T-ball, you're actually going to see that every inning they go to hit, they have a totally different lineup every inning because that makes it fun for the kids, that sometimes they get to bat first, sometimes they get to be the last hitter and run all the way around the bases. So they actually mix it up every inning. So each player must play a minimum of 1 inning in an infield position. That includes pitcher or catcher. So every game you go to, you should expect to see your kid to be in the infield once, at least 1 inning. Maybe more, but at least 1 inning. Third, second, short, first, leave that up to the coaches. But your kid should be in the infield for 1 inning every game. Your kid should also be in the outfield for 1 inning every game. I should not go to a game and see the same kid at shortstop for all 6 innings. That's not okay. That kid should be in the outfield a little bit, and that kid actually should spend an inning on the bench to make sure every kid out there is getting some equal playing time. That also goes for the bench rotation. A kid should not sit the bench twice before anybody else has set the bench once. Okay, the only exceptions to that are for pitchers and catchers because those are unique positions. If you have a pitcher out there, I don't expect you to take your pitcher out and go make them sit on the bench because it's their turn to sit. If they're still pitching, that's fine. But that applies to everybody else playing the field. Okay, and that'll be the expectation for our coaches. What I want to make sure is very clear is pitching time does not equal playing time. We do not expect our coaches, if they've got 5 pitchers, that each kid threw 10 innings over the season. Okay, we expect that our coaches will pitch their kids that are better pitchers and throw more strikes more frequently than the kids who don't throw strikes as much. Okay, pitching is what makes this game function, especially at the Little League level. If anybody here has sat through Little League games with kids that don't throw a lot of strikes, boy, is it a drag. You talk about when kids aren't having fun, it's when the kid's in that outfield playing that Game Boy because they've been out there 30 minutes and haven't seen a strike. Okay? Again, I would love to develop. I want kids who want to pitch to get a shot. But we cannot put a kid out there that's never tried pitching before to try it for the first time in a game and watch them for 45 minutes while 20 other kids suffer because nothing is happening. Okay, we made that decision this year as a board, and I'm hoping that goes well. If you want to get your kid more experience pitching, talk to me on the side. I can point you in some good directions. But pitching in a game is not the time for us to start learning it for the first time. Okay? So that in a nutshell is what this says. Our coaches are also encouraged to take pitchers out early if they can't find the strike zone and get those kids, as long as they're meeting our pitch count limits, kids will pitch more and it not be equal. Okay? All right, along with that, I highly suggest everybody familiarize themselves with the rules. Not necessarily the 220-page rulebook app that Little League provides, but what you'll see, and I will send these out to everybody, is we have a 2-page, here are the division rules for each division. It is so funny when I'm at a game and a parent is out there yelling, "Why isn't he stealing? Why isn't he stealing?" And I'm like, well, because we don't steal at this level. Please familiarize yourself with the rules so that as you go to a game, you're going to understand why we're doing the things we're doing or what those kids are going to be doing with that kind of stuff. We have rules about stealing, how many runs you can score on a wild pitch, stuff like that. So please read through those so that you know what's going on. We don't play the traditional baseball you're going to watch on TV. There's some unique things we do to make sure kids are developing. Player expectations. So we need them to come to team formation practice, attend practices, attend games, bring a positive attitude, be a good teammate, and a willingness to listen. The best availability, or the best ability is availability. Okay? So take that to heart, please. A couple things we do unique as we kind of get into June. We did this for the first time last year, got a lot of positive feedback, so we want to bring it back again. We do what's called the COT games and the Gentex games. So this is for kids in minors and majors. We have players vote for about 3 or 4 players on their team to represent their team in more or less a all-star game, but that's just not what we're calling it. So what we'll do is we'll take 3 or 4 kids from a bunch of different teams, combine them into one team, and they'll play against another team that's kind of that same fashion, made up of 3 or 4 kids from 4 different teams. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of bringing the kids that are voted to be the better skilled players from their team to come and play in a higher quality game, more or less. They play against kids in their same division still, but we kind of do it and make it a celebration for these kids to recognize what they've accomplished through the season. So kids will vote. They'll come out. The baseball one will be June 1, and softball will be June 8. Finally, we have postseason tournaments. So this applies for AA, AAA, and majors baseball, as well as minors and majors softball. Those tournaments will start the week of June 17. I like to get out there early because boy, do people like planning their vacations in June and they think the season's done June 15. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh man, I'm gone all that week. I'm going to miss the tournament. So the whole week of June 17 is when we're going to do our tournaments. We try to get them done in a week, but I can't control the weather. If we get rain and all that kind of stuff, we just got to keep pushing it out a day. So it may roll into the next week. Nothing we can do about that. One thing, if you're familiar with what we call the D9 tournament, something we've done for the last few years, as long as I've been here, we are not going to do the D9 tournament anymore. If you're someone who's familiar with that and wants to know why, I'm happy to talk about that on the side, but boy, am I happy to be done with that. A baseball does not do a postseason game, but what we do for those kids is because they play at Roosevelt all year, we let them play at Cott for their last 1 or 2 games. For those that don't know, Cott Field is the field off of Quincy over kind of near Holland. It is a really, really nice ballpark. Boy, when I moved here from Jacksonville, I'm like, how do you guys have a gym like this out here in West Michigan? This is wild. Like, it's better than any field I played on, and I grew up in Baseball City. It is great. So that's kind of a cool way that we end the season for those kids to play at that field. Coach pitch and T-ball, there's not any postseason for you. Sorry, you're not going to get the senior T-ball championship sign. Middle school baseball, there's potentially a tournament. It's kind of tough because we work with about 6 different communities to try to put that together, and there's a lot of, let's just say, not a lot of people that want to take charge to run it. So it's one of those, if we want to have a tournament, boy, if Zeeland just runs that tournament, we'll have it. So we're trying to figure that out. We did one last year, and half the teams forfeited on the first day. So it did not go as well as we were hoping. None of our teams did. Our teams were there ready to go, but half the other teams dropped out. So we'll see if we can get that better this year. All right, something else that comes up is All-Stars. So any kid that is league age, 8 or older, is eligible to play All-Stars. All-Stars is something that happens after our Little League stuff is done. After that postseason stuff, the week of June 24, All-Stars can start. We can make a team that is from 10 to 12-year-olds, 9 to 11, or 8 to 10. If you've ever seen the Little League World Series in August on ESPN, that's what this is. This is the team we make that has to compete in the tournament that if they were to keep winning, you would see them on ESPN in Williamsport playing in the Little League World Series. That's what this All-Star thing is. It's more demanding schedule. It's more competitive ball. Everything I talked about with playing time and all that stuff is out the window. If you are selected to be on that team, we do ask parents to pay $79, which is the same as our regular registration for that, because that helps cover the uniform, equipment, the charter fees we got to pay, the umpire fees we got to pay, and all that stuff. That basically covers the cost to even have an all-star team. If you're interested in that, there's a couple requirements. You have to be able to prove your residency or school. It is like Homeland Security style proof. It is wild. You have to attend at least 60% of your regular season games. You have to come to a tryout on May 15. There's expectations for attendance. If you know you're going to be on a 3-week vacation in the summer and not even be at any of the games, it's okay to just say, hey, I'm not going to try out. Like, I know it's a cool accomplishment to be like, hey, I tried out and made the team. That's awesome. But if you're not going to be at anything, please don't try out. Understand the time commitments involved, what our expectations are for parents and all that kind of stuff. So more details will come out about that as we kind of get closer to May and when all that stuff's happening. We'll have an online sign up if you're interested in doing it, but wanted to put that in front of you a little bit to know what's going on there. Our selection process is we select a manager, which must be a Little League coach. Again, we do that tryout May 15. We do a combination of any regular season coach, the all-star manager, as well as Zeeland Little League board members, select that team. Back in the day, it would be one guy picking the whole team, and that does not go well. So we make sure there's a committee of people watching and putting this team together to make sure the right kids are picked. Assistant coaches aren't named until after all the team is put together. Rosters can be anywhere from 12 to 15 players, and all the decisions that are made along the way will be communicated to you if you're involved with this. All right, umpires. I've talked about them a little bit, but that first bullet point I have up there is what I want to make sure everybody takes away. If you are in a league that's going to have umpires, which is any player pitch league, please have the right expectation. Our umpires are young for the most part. They are not perfect. If you see a good major league umpire gets 9 out of 10 calls correct, just to have some perspective on what the professional umpires get. If you're going out to a game expecting to have every ball be a ball, every strike be a strike, out and out and safe is safe, I'm gonna tell you right now, that ain't gonna happen. They're gonna mess up, okay? Showing grace to them is step one. Like, all right, let's move on. Again, it's not about the results. We're good. It's a good learning experience for the kids to have a bad call called against them. We have zero tolerance for umpire abuse. I hate to say it, but we've had to do it before. We've had to tell people, you're not allowed back. I don't like that conversation. I don't want to have it. If you talk to other people about just officiating in general, the number one hard part about getting officials, they don't want to come back because they get berated at games, right? If I'm at a game and I hear somebody yelling, I'm gonna make sure that parent knows. That's not okay. We have done a tremendous job of getting our umpires to come back. Think about it, right? Like, I mean, coaches, players, right? How do you get better? Well, you play year after year after year. If every umpire I get, it's their first year doing it, it's gonna be even worse than what it is. Most of our umpires are back for their third or fourth year, which is huge. The quality of umpiring is getting better. I see it because I'm seeing a whole lot of games every week. Maybe what you're seeing is still, hey, there's still some work to be done. Absolutely. There is work to be done. There are rules that they don't know, things they need to start learning. But please, please, give them grace, thank them after the games, make them want to come back, because that's the only way that we can get them better, is they got to want to keep getting out there and working on it, just like the players. Okay, so please, please treat our umpires with respect. Our umpires are paid. If you're interested in umpiring, I'd love to get you involved. We do train all of our umpires. We have a training coming up April 13 for them where we actually bring Little League players out. They pitch, they run bases, they do things, and our umpires are working on positioning, making calls, timing, all that kind of stuff. But it's not as simple as just, oh yeah, I played some ball, so I know how to be an umpire. You'd be surprised how many people don't know where they're supposed to stand when they're umpiring the bases. So again, please, if you're in a league with umpires, thank them, show respect, show grace to them. Parent discussions. This comes up too sometimes, right? You have a disagreement with what your coach is doing. Understand. First, 24-hour rule. Please, please do that. Give yourself some time, especially in the heat of the moment. If something's got you upset, give yourself 24 hours to just kind of calm down before having a conversation with a coach. Do it respectfully. If you feel like that conversation isn't going anywhere or you want a mediator involved, reach out to me. I am happy to sit in there and mediate a conversation with somebody if that's what we need to do. And finally, this is the parent discussion with your kids, is that ride home. I've been involved on the ride home side where I get yelled at and think, man, I don't ever want to play baseball again because that was the worst hour ride home of my life because I just got screamed at for an hour. That ride home can play just as much importance to how much a kid loves the game to what that game actually did. Tell them what they did good. Tell them you love them. Tell them how awesome it was to see them play. If grandma and grandpa came out, they loved it too. Show them support, make them know that you've got their back, and the season will go a lot better. Even if they strike out 3 times, or can't throw a strike on the mound, or make 10 errors, doesn't matter. Show them support, have their back, make that ride home something positive. Go get ice cream. I tell my kids all the time, we're gonna get ice cream no matter what. All right, so finally, Little League, very much a volunteer-based organization. So we love to help. Whether you want to be an umpire, a coach, if you want to get kind of behind the scenes and see all the stuff we plan and do as a board, I am happy to get more people involved. If you're interested in any of that stuff, shoot me an email and I can get you the next steps. And the last thing I kind of got for you guys is fundraising. So we kind of have 3 different things going on this year. If any of these are interested to you or the business you work for or anything like that, let me know. We are putting some uniform sponsors together where you can put your logo on the back of a jersey. It'll go right under the number so that we still have room to put names on top. You can get an outfield sign at either Heisinger or Cott Park, or you can get a dugout sign. Right now, we only have one dugout available at Cott Fields currently, but some of those are kind of up for renewals, so there may be more availability down the road. If you want to kind of get in line for that, let me know. And finally, for those that have done Little League before and seen our old website and all that, I am happy to announce we have a new website we are getting rolling. This is what it looks like. If anybody was really savvy, and the email I sent yesterday, I believe, was through the website. I kind of got everybody put in there a little bit. You might have maybe clicked a link or browsed around there and kind of found this little web page. It's out there if you want to hunt for it. There's still a lot of pages that need to be filled out. You'll get to links that are just blank pages. But we're working on it. It's going to be really great. The best part about this is if you have kids that also do other Zeeland Rec youth sports, soccer, basketball, volleyball, whatever, this is going to be your one-stop shop for all those. Right? Back in the day, it was like we had the Little League website, and then anything else was kind of, whether it was a Google form or whatever it was that Chris kind of runs over there. When we lost our Little League website, I got with Chris, and I was like, we need to do this for all the sports. He was on board 100%. So we did a lot of shopping this fall and found Team Sideline is the provider we're using. There will be an app, so you will be able to open up your app, see all your kids, what the schedules are. Coaches can communicate through that app. You can map it right to your field you need to go to, all that fun stuff. So that should all be a really positive impact for our parents, especially the ones like me that got 3 kids playing and you're trying to figure out what time games are and where you're supposed to be. That stuff should all be really good. So I'll continue to keep people updated with the link and what this stuff is going to look like, but we're really happy to get this rolling for the Little League season. All right, so with that being said, thank you all for your time. I can't believe I made it in under an hour. I did it again. Keep the ride home positive. If you have questions, you can email me. I'll also stick around up here for a little bit if anybody wants to come talk. Otherwise, thank you for your time, and have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Awesome.
How you doing?
Hey, what's up?
Chris Hartley.
Nice to
I
meet you.
have to be one of your coaches.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to talk to you about March 2nd.
Okay.
I have a hockey tournament out of state.
Okay.
So we may not be able to make it.
Sorry.
It's in South Bend,
Okay.
so I'm gonna try, I'll see I don't know what his schedule is for Saturday yet.
Okay.
He usually plays a game in the morning, a game in the afternoon, evening.
I'm gonna tell you, please do not make it to where you're like, man, we gotta get to this, and you're driving hours to rush that coming from a hockey game. Like, if you guys are already out there and just wanna stay out there for hockey, like, it's okay. I don't wanna sit there and make you like, it's okay, you don't have to come, all that
No,
stuff.
I get that.
We want the kids there, but I expect 10-20% to miss it for the number of calls I get in the morning of March 2nd, and be like, my kid's sick, what do we do?
Right.
Well, you don't come, thanks, you know,
Well,
like, what?
I think that's
We're done, yeah.
I'll definitely make it.
Okay,
Um,
that's fine.
but I don't know if I'll be able to bring him.
That's fine, because they don't be evaluating all the kids, all that stuff. Honestly, what I might do is circle back with you and kind of be like, what do you think your kid, as you see all those kids play, where does your kid mix into that? You know, like, is there your scoring kids, we'll talk about that for you're giving the kid a rating 1 to 10. All right, so all those kids, what do you think your kid's at? Give me our honest opinion, and that's a score we can give him,
Right.
and then we'll get there.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I just didn't want to
No.
go, because we're new to this whole
Sure.
Zealand area. We've been playing Tri-Cities,
Okay.
and my kid goes to Zealand now.
Okay, cool.
So I want to get him mixed in with
Oh, yeah.
kids in school.
For sure, for sure. Yep.
So,
Right.
yeah, so the whole concept down here is different
Sure.
than it is up there, and it's all new to us, so,
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to touch base with you, make
Yep.
sure.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, there's some coaches that they won't bring their kids just because they know, like, the way we do our draft is whoever has the strongest coaches' kids, pick last. So we have coaches that still are like, I'm not bringing my kid because he's gonna come in there and everything in with 10, and then we're gonna get the last pick. Not he has. Again, totally against everything I just talked about, but that's that was the mindset I still am trying to get over for the last 2 or 3 years. But we've come a long way with it, but
Okay.
yeah.
I appreciate your time.
For sure, yeah. Thanks for coming. What's up, Kevin?
Not much. So, I got a couple things.
Yeah.
One, I got a friend of mine whose kid's gonna play for the first time.
Okay.
She's kind of on the border whether she wants to coach or not.
Okay.
She wanted to know if she can get her kid on my team.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Yep.
that works.
So you know me.
Okay. Umpires thing, do you need help with that?
Oh, we always use umpires.
Well, I mean, like the training part.
Oh,
I
yeah,
wouldn't-
well,
I wouldn't have time to umpire.
I was gonna say, yeah, we don't have well,
I could be your emergency one for like the minors.
That's
or
what I'm
whatever.
gonna do, because like, yeah, like, I'm not gonna coach minors this year, I'm gonna coach my son, but games that I can be at for minors, if I get there and we're still doing umpires, I'm like, well, I got the little here.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's gonna go if I bring up my daughter. She'll hate me for it.
Because I was sitting there last year, we didn't have one show, so.
Yeah. No, I will send it, I actually sent an email out to all the parents before the umpire training about getting kids to come. Because like I said, we bring in a bunch of kids, they do pitching and catching as well as base running, so like we bring all the gear out there. Umpires get behind the catchers, they're in there calling balls and strikes, working on timing, we have the little kids come out front.
Cool.
So, yeah, you'll be on that email, yeah, if you wanna come out and be part of that. That'd be great. Yeah, especially even like, I'm usually trying to get board members like Josh here, like, out there, like, yeah, because if umpires will sit back and they'll do stuff, but if nobody's telling them what they're doing right or wrong, and it's like, okay, cool, they're calling balls and strikes, but they're not learning anything, so I'm trying to get people to be like, no, watch this kid, tell him what he's doing right, what he's doing wrong, and then,
We had some learning
It's
moments
nice.
last year too.
yeah.
Tried to
It's
get
alright.
outside after the game, let them know what's going on.
Yeah, minors and then single A baseball are the two that are gonna get
Yeah,
the
you get the news.
youngest, newest humps.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Build them some confidence.
power to it, right?
And
So,
oh, you got plenty of coaches, no.
yeah,
Okay.
we're good at minors, and actually that was my wife,
Well, I was thinking more like the T-ball, coach pitch, all that.
we're softball, we've had more coaches than I've ever seen, which is great, because that's usually softball is the one I'm begging people. We have tons of coaches in softball.
Cool.
Which is awesome. It was actually baseball, T-ball. Well, it's like major softball, 40 girls, or 44 girls, baseball T-ball came in, 100 kids, 5 coaches.
Oh.
And I'm like, whoa, we're gonna have to do some work there. So they've trickled in. I'm thinking of up to like 15, but I'm like, well, I need 5 more, so I'm gonna have 10 teams. So yeah, the younger baseball ones are still hesitant. So,
My buddy was here just asking about it again.
okay. Yeah, if you want her on the team, I think too, yeah, tell her to sign up, and even if she's just there to be kind of a helper to you or whatever, if she wants to coach, yeah, let's get her involved.
Okay. I'll get her signed up, and then, yeah, my other buddy does, his kids doing coach pitch baseball.
Okay.
He was asking about coaches too tonight. So, how come in?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's always that.
Fine, I'll pressure you into it, dude.
Well, no, I still want to send, even though I don't need them, I still want to send an email like, we want more coaches, because it's so much nicer when you have the 3, right? When you're trying to run practices, and even at the game, like, where you're like, trying to make sure everybody knows what order they're in, and you're on third base, and then you got to pitch, and you're like, I can't do 3 things at once, I need 2 other people. So, yeah, 3 is your magic.
Kids don't want to listen.
Yes. Yep.
Cool.
So,
That's everybody in.
all right.
All right.
Cool.
We'll see you next week.
Oh, yeah, we'll see ya. That's
Good
it.
job, guys.
Yeah.
Did a walkthrough of all the news on this level. I just thought of while you're talking, I should check out.
Okay, you said you already walked through the site?